You're never gonna make it, you're not good enough. There's a million other people with the same stuff. You really think you're different? Man, you must be kidding. Think you're gonna hit it, but you just don't get it. It's impossible, it's not probable, you're irresponsible. Too many obstacles, you gotta stop it, yo. You gotta take it slow, you can't be a pro. Don't waste your time no more. Who the fuck are you to tell me what to do? I don't give a damn if you say you disapprove. I'm gonna make my move, I'm gonna make it soon. And I'll do it cause it's what I wanna fucking do. Cause all these opinions and all these positions, they come in millions, they blocking your vision. But no, you can't listen, that shit is all fiction. Cause you hold the power as long as you're dreaming. There's no way that you make it.
Boom! There we go. We had another weekend. Did a video. We got some people throwing some swag equipment. We're going to get a chance to see some of that equipment roll down the lanes. The angle was kind of far back. I just set the camera at the table, so I got what angle I could. But you can still kind of see what angle, what part of the lanes we're playing, and things like that. So we're going to go over each bowling ball for each person. And we're going to talk about what those bowling balls do, the specs on those bowling balls, what those specs mean, and why those bowling balls seem to work out well for the people that are using them and they really like them. So we'll get into it. Okay, first up we got the Incredible Hero, the Swag Incredible Hero. It's made by Swag, of course. It's got the Incredible core. I've got the specs up right here to talk about. It comes at a 3000 finish. It's an asymmetrical pearl. It comes a little bit dull, a 3000 grit sanded. It does look dull, but it shines up pretty quick with 3000. The RG is 2.51, which isn't super low. It isn't high, but it isn't super low. What the RG does is that says how far down the lane it'll get before it starts picking up its roll. At least that's one of the indications that the RG is going to give you. It stands for ratio of gyration. I think I got that right. And the differential is 0.052. Fairly high. It's not super high. We've got some stuff higher than that, but that's fairly high. Now, of course, it's an asymmetrical, so it has a mass bias differential, or the intermediate differential, however you want to word that, and that is 0.019. So that core is actually called, sorry, I don't remember all this. I've got so many bowling balls in my brain, I tend to forget. So I got to look it up. I wanted to make sure to get the information right. So I'm looking at my right here where I've got my laptop open. The cover stock name is the Dazzler 2. We first came out with the Dazzler cover with the original Joker. And I believe the Incredible Hero was the first ball we used the Dazzler cover and changed it into a pearl. It was our first pearl Dazzler cover that we come out with. So the Dazzler cover, 3000 finish, sanded, and the core is actually called, where's it at? Well, I guess it's called the Incredible Core, so there you go. I was thinking it was something else, but anyway, the Incredible Core. It's the one that's got that little star on it. Like I said, fairly strong intermediate differential. Stronger than most anything else on the market. But we've actually got stuff with stronger intermediate differentials than that. So this ball, especially with the finish that it comes out with, it's very good reading the lane, mid lane, and then a controllable smooth reaction off of the break point. I don't seem to personally get a lot of use out of it on house patterns, but I've pulled it out multiple times on sport patterns when I want to control the pocket and I want to control the back end and getting the ball to read that mid lane so that everything stays more in front of me. And I've had a lot of success with that ball for that. You'll see Brett Cup. I've got some video of him throwing it. He loves that ball. And I think he likes that ball in house patterns because he doesn't have a whole lot of revs or speed, but he keeps his angle. He likes keeping his angles in front of him. Some would say playing down and in. So when he plays down and in, that ball works out real good for him because it'll read the mid lane and then move nice and smooth off the break point, and it keeps him where his angles are easier to control. So we'll get a chance. We'll look at Brett Cup throw the Incredible Hero. There you go. Okay, we got Brett Cup here like I talked about. He's the lefty on the right there. You're going to get a chance to see how this ball works out really good for his game. It reads the mid lane, stays nice and smooth and controllable on the back end. To my memory, I believe he left it at the 3000 factory finish ever since he got it. He hasn't changed that. He really likes it right there.
But it works really well for Breck because he plays kind of down and in. He never really loops the ball a whole lot. Doesn't have a lot of revs, doesn't have a lot of speed. So he just kind of strokes it right up 10 board, and that's perfect for this ball on a house pattern, right? Keeping his angles in front of him, and without all that extra revs and things like that, the ball's still storing energy whenever it hits the pocket. I think he got a break there at last shot. Yeah, ball just drives right through the pins. Yeah, see, you really got the feeling it that night. Breck ended up, this little sweeper we bowled in, he ended up winning the sweeper that night. Broke me off by 8 pins. He bowled really well that night. Good bowling, Breck. He thought he messed up, then he realized it was going to work out. There's my old man elbow in the way of my own video. Another strike by Breck Cup.
Okay, for our next one, you're going to see this swag YOLO Rocks. It's our third YOLO release with that Spiral S core. It's a symmetrical, pearl symmetrical. So the first one we came out with was the original YOLO. That was a solid. And then the second one we came out with was a YOLO Pearl. Waited a little while and we came out with a YOLO Rocks. It's very similar to the YOLO Pearl, but after drilling it and getting to throw it, it is a little different. I think it's a little less sharp off the break point than the original YOLO Pearl, which actually I like. I did like the YOLO Pearl a lot. I shot a lot of really good scores, especially late into tournaments whenever the lanes were burned up and I was able to get inside with the original YOLO Pearl. But with the YOLO Rocks so far, I've probably got about 15 games on it. Maybe no, less than that, maybe 10 games on it. And it does have some back end, but it's a little less sharp off the break point. Of course, that could have something to do with the layout, but I don't believe so, because the layout I have on the YOLO Rocks should be just as sharp as the YOLO Pearl, but it's not. So I'm going to attribute that to the ball's reaction itself. And the only thing that's changed with the ball is the cover. It's an upgraded cover from what the YOLO Pearl was, and a different color. Colors do change reaction. The colors on the YOLO Pearl were silver, pink, and blue. And this one has black and pink, I believe, right? Yep. So you got the cover stock name One Shot One Pearl, which is the same name as the last cover, but I can tell you there's something different about this cover. Typically what we do is we continue with our R&D department to upgrade our covers, and it's been probably a good year and a half or so since our release of the YOLO Pearl. I'm not 100% sure. Your specs on the YOLO Rocks is 2.53 RG, so that's not super high RG, but it's getting up there, which does allow the ball to get through the fronts fairly easy, which you'll see that if you throw that ball, you'll see it get through the fronts. So did the YOLO Pearl. I feel like the YOLO Pearl went a little longer and a little more angular, as I said before, but this ball still gets through the fronts nice and easy. And then the differential is 0.044. That's not a real high differential. I would say it's right in the mid-range, which personally I like. I like both. So it depends on the situation. Sometimes I need a higher differential. Sometimes I need it a little bit lower. Depends on what the lanes are giving me, who's bowled on that pair, what that center tends to do on carry down and things like that. But there are a lot of times where I'd rather have a little medium differential versus the higher differential. And 0.044 is right in that mid-level range. So that ball's kind of a, as far as a Pearl goes, kind of a benchmark ball too. It's right there in the middle as far as strength. It's not super strong like the Incredible Hero or the Swag Big Bro Jacked or something like that. It's not super strong like that, or the original Incredible or something like that. It's more right there in the middle. Plus, it's a symmetrical core, so it's not, you know, ASIM, so it's not super strong there as far as the core parts goes either. So anyway, we came out with this ball in September, which it's September 30th right now, so it is a new release. I just got it, like I said, I only got like 10 games on it so far. I have liked it so far. You're going to see in the video where I was able to get inside and still get the corners out. So far I'm liking that ball. I put the same layout that I had on my Fantasy Star. Fantasy Star specs are similar. The Fantasy Star had a lower RG but similar differential. And so I wanted to kind imitate that motion, that shape a little bit, and it's pretty close. Like I say, the YOLO Rocks will go a hair longer before it gets into its roll than the Fantasy Star did, but that was what I was hoping to get out of it. And so far, I've gotten pretty close to that. So anyway, you're going to get a chance to see me throw that and see what you think.
Alright, you get a chance to see the YOLO Rocks. It's our new release, as I talked about earlier. You can see me playing in a little bit with it, and it's not real jerky off the break point. You can see that. It is continuous, but it's not jerky. It's still predictable when it comes off, but it's continuous, which is what I like. I like that a lot. There are times that you want smoother, or maybe you want a little more jerky off the break point, but overall, most of the time, I like this reaction. The ball gets to the break point, makes its move, and then continues through the pins. And this ball's got that slick cover, so it gets through the fronts nice. And so far, I really like this ball. I got about 10 games on it. 4 of them during this sweeper right here. This night, it was just actually working really good, and I stuck with it and ended up finishing second behind Brick. He broke me off by 8 pins. Not very nice, but I did have a little side bet going and ended up winning, which you'll see here. I needed one of these hits later on to get. See, I'm getting in there about 4th arrow right there, out to about 11. The ball's just kicking out the 10 pin. That one there probably should have been a 10 pin, but the ball just drives through the pins. It doesn't deflect, and that was the shot I needed to win my side bet. So I got that done.
Okay, next up we're going to be looking at the Swag Big Bro Jacked. You see Mo throwing it here, some shots. He didn't stick with that ball. He hadn't had that ball very long, the Swag Big Bro Jacked. He said he didn't realize how strong it was. He tried pulling it out in this tournament. Worked really good for a game or two, then he had to put it away. But I did get some video of him throwing it early, and he really did like the ball. The thing about all of the big bros, they all have the same core. It's the Dominance core. It's a fairly low RG rating. It's a 2.474, fairly low RG. So that ball will start picking up a roll fairly early due to the RG, is at least part of the case. The differential is 0.054, fairly high, right? So that means you're going to have a lot of flare potential depending on where you place the pin and strength in reference to your PAP. And then your intermediate differential, your mass bias differential is 0.021, even higher than earlier when I talked about, what was the first one we talked about, the Incredible Hero. So the intermediate differential or the mass bias differential is 0.021, so that's even higher. We actually have some balls even higher than that, if I remember right. Some of the new Blizzards from Lordfield have a different mass bias differential higher than that, and I believe the Graffitis do too. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty confident in that. This ball here, it's kind of similar to the original Big Bro Flexin. I say the original because it was the first Big Bro solid we came out with. All of these Big Bro balls, they all will read the lane early, and they all got big, strong cores. So they're all asymmetrical. They all have that low RG, high differential, high intermediate differential. So the funny thing is, a lot of people think because it's a big, strong core ball that they can take it out on their house pattern and just boom the lane with it. If you got enough hand, you might, you know. But if you don't, and especially depending on your release and things like that and how you let go of it, a lot of times what you're going to find is the ball with that strong a core and that strong a cover, it's going to hit the friction and it's going to kill it. So you're actually defeating the purpose of trying to boom the lane. You're going to actually hook it less, and then somebody's going to come and say, man, why ain't this? It's supposed to be a big hooking ball. Why isn't it hooking? Well, it's actually too strong for the condition you're throwing it on. One of the balls like this is that you might throw it on a house pattern and it might hook a little bit more, not as much as you want. But then you pull it out on a long pattern where there's a lot of volume of oil, and then you're going to see it come alive. That's when that ball's going to move, and the other ones won't. The other ones just skid for days, and this ball will start picking up a roll and eating through that oil. So if your center tends to put down a lot of volume of oil, and you want to get the ball to start reading early, Big Bro Jack would be a good one for that. All right, so Big Bro Jack, I talked about the differential and the RG. It's a low RG, high differential, high intermediate differential or mass bias differential. Comes in red and blue. Comes at, what's the surface on that? 3,000? Okay, 4,000 sanded. So basically a 4000 sanded, once again, is going to look dull when you get it brand new. Probably 4 or 5 games into it, it's going to look shiny, right? So if you really want something for that heavy oil, you may want to take that surface down. Don't be afraid to play with your surfaces. Learn more about your surfaces and what you can do with it, because you can really change your break point a lot with changing your surface. I think the purpose of us putting 4000 finish on this ball was that it's such a strong core and such a strong cover. We wanted people to go ahead and be able to take it out of the box and get some use out of it. Having said that, if you want it for that, it's going to be great. But if you want it for heavier oil and longer patterns, depending on the volume of oil they put out, you might want to change that surface down to like 2000 or even 1000. If you do that, I'm telling you right now, you get that heavy oil, you're going to see that ball come alive. So anyway, you're going to see him throwing it. He's wheeling on it. He's standing left, throwing it right, and it's just coming back. He's able to get away with that and still get the ball to move plenty. It doesn't kill it because he's setting it down in plenty of oil. So it's storing energy whenever it hits the friction and turning left. Whereas versus if he was to move right, set that down in the friction immediately, it's probably still going to go high, but it's going to die. It's not going to hook as many boards. It's going to kill down that hook a little bit, and it's not going to be a good look. But he got really far left with it, was throwing it right, and it finally got to a point where he couldn't throw anymore, so he put it away. But anyway, I'll give you an example with that Big Bro Jacked. For me on house patterns, the way I throw the ball, I don't get a lot of use out of it, but I keep it around. Because there's been times that I've had to pull it out that the ball was amazing. Not too long ago, I bowled the BR over at All-Star in Baton Rouge. And day one, I tried all kinds of different stuff, and I didn't like my look. I couldn't seem to get the corner out. I didn't like my angles. I didn't have that Big Bro Jack with me. I bowled well enough to make the cut the first day, so I come in the next day with a different plan, because I knew, fine, I could make the cut. In order to do better than that, I might have to find something better than that. So I bring the Big Bro Jacked. Why? Because I know it's going to give me a different look than anything else I brought in the first day. Try it out, 780. The ball's, when it's in play, it is good. So that's definitely a ball to consider for those conditions. Anyway, you're going to get to see Mo throw a few shots with it. See what you think.
All right, so here we go. We got Mo throwing the Big Bro Jacked. As I said earlier, he didn't throw it the whole time. It was just too much ball later on. But I did get some shots of him throwing it early when there was enough oil to throw it. And he's just wheeling on it, setting it down in the oil, getting it out to the friction, letting the ball do the work on the back end. As I said before, the ball's going to pick up a roll early. So all that means is it's going to get into its roll. And then when it comes off the break point, it's going to be a little bit more controllable and predictable on the back.
Okay, now we get a chance to watch Munchie Bowl. My good buddy Munch. They call him Munch. His name's Terrence Williams. Nickname Munch. Anyway, you'll get to see him throw the ball. It's a Legends Secret Diamond. Legends by Lane Master Secret Diamond. He had just got this bowling ball punched up. He hadn't even really thrown it yet, I don't think. And he said he normally don't throw a bowling ball in a tournament before he really gets to know it. But he decided to go with it that day because he threw it in practice and he really liked the shape it gave him. I've thrown that ball. You want a ball, pro shop owners will back me up on this, I'm sure. Guys come in, they say, what do you want the ball to do? And the guy will tell them, the customer will tell them, I want the ball to go down the lane and then hook really hard on the back end. This is your ball. The Secret Diamond. We've been making diamonds for a while. When I say we, I mean California Bowling. It's been making, Lane Master's been making diamonds for quite a while. They've had diamonds, the cold diamond, the pure diamond, all kinds of different diamonds. And they keep making them with this Dynasty core, which is a real tall core, and they're all two-piece. The one thing they did, they always change the covers, right? Which they give you different reactions, different colors, different covers. They give you different reactions. But this one was the first one they made that I know of anyway, that they made as a solid. Wasn't sure what to think about that. Put a layout on it that I think I'd like. And man, this ball, that cover complements that core perfectly. If you need a ball that'll get through the fronts and then make the turn, this is your ball. Okay? Really high RG, that's what gets the ball down the lane. Really high differential, that's what gets the ball to make the turn. So when you get some carry down and some of your other stuff's like getting a little lazy making the turn, this one doesn't mess around. It's got, let's see, comes in a really like a purple, like a light purple color. It's got the Dynasty cores, the version 2, like I talked about. It comes at 4,000 grit sanded. I kind of talked about this earlier. It's going to look dull when you get it, but 4 or 5 games into it, it's going to look shiny. At 4,000 sanded, it's almost shiny, right? So it's got a 2.54 RG. As I talked about, it's a really tall core, so it's going to get it through the fronts really easy. And then your differential is 0.058. Your 0.058 differential is super high. Anything close to 0.060, that's almost top high as you can get. It's 0.058 on this one, so that means that ball's really got a lot of flare potential. So depending on where you put the pin, just be aware of that. If you're a guy that's a really high rev player, yeah, I don't know, you could get 6 inches of flare out of this thing probably. So there's definitely a lot of flare potential out of this ball, but it's definitely going to flare down lane. And when it comes off the break point, it seems to me that really high differential with that really high RG, and then complemented with this cover, what that ends up doing is it blends that break point out where it's not too jumpy. Some of the things I've seen about some of the diamonds for me, and I know some people like that, but in a lot of conditions it gets a little jumpy off the break point, which, don't get me wrong, sometimes that's good, but a lot of times it's not. Well, with this ball, with that solid cover, all of those things combined smooth that out.
Okay, here we get to see Munchie throwing his secret diamond. It ain't no secret no more, Munchie. We all see this ball is good. Made by Legends by Lane Masters. I talked about that earlier, as I talked about that tall core. It's got that really tall core. Munch just got this ball punched up that day and decided he was going to stick with it and throw it that day, and he just struck at will. I think at one point he went 279, 278, 276 back to back with it, just killing it with it. Just stand left, throw it to the friction, watch the ball do the work on the back. Now this ball here would be a little bit more angular, a little more continuous than say the Big Bro Jack was doing, but it's not jerky either. That cover and core combination worked out really good.
Okay, now we get to talk about the Swag Dynamite. We got Daryl Doucette throwing this ball. He loves this ball. When he pulls this ball out, he says this ball means business, and he means it. Because when he pulls that ball out, you know it's time to strike. He usually waits until there's a little bit more friction, the lanes open up a little bit, and then when he goes to that ball, it's over with. He loves it. So you're going to be able to see that in a lot of the video that I've seen. He's got enough speed. He does have a lot of revs, but he has enough speed where he's kind of like behind his line a little bit. Where like when you see me bowl, I'm to the left. I got a lot less speed. I'm old, and I throw the ball slow, so my ball loops a little bit. So you'll get to see the reaction on mine a little bit more than you will his. But he generates a lot of power. So this ball here, it's one of our newer releases from Swag. It comes in a red, black, and white, and really pretty ball. It's pearl symmetrical, and it's RG is 2.49, right in that mid-range as far as RGs goes. It's not super low, not super high. It's maybe a little on the low side at 2.49. This ball, when they made it, they kind of stole the core from Lordfield, and I say stole, it's theirs. I think they tweaked it a little bit to make it Swag. But it's pretty much the same core as the Lordfield Bloody Cross series. And I love the Bloody Cross series. That's why I like this ball so much, I'm sure. All they really did was they tweaked the core a little bit. They changed covers. Comes at 1,000 grit sanded plus factory polish. So you got that nice, shiny, slick cover. When this ball, for me, seems to work the best is when the lanes break down a little bit. They open up a little bit. And you got a little bit of friction to bounce off of. This ball's lovely. This ball's came in handy for me more times than I can count as far as tournaments goes and things like that. Once the lanes open up late, you know, you got a 7 or 8 game tournament. Game 5 and 6, they start hooking pretty good. This ball's come in handy a lot. So you get a chance to see Daryl throw it. Like I said, lots of speed, lots of revs, creates a lot of power. Just when that ball hits, it just slap spins around. So, but anyway, you get a chance, check it out. Here we go.
Okay, we got Deuce throwing this Dynamite. See, I was telling you, all that speed, all that power. Then it gets to the pins and just throws stuff. Dynamite's a really good name for this ball, I think, because when it hits, it's like dynamite going off, especially when he throws it. I don't know what speed he's at, probably 20 mile an hour. I don't know what rev rate. We'll say a lot.
Okay, next up, we got the Swag Incrediblex. This is one of our new releases also. You get to see a chance to see me throw it. I've had a chance to get enough games on this ball to get really familiar with what reaction I'm going to get. It's got the same incredible core as all of the other Incredibles. I say the other Incredibles. There was the red Incredible, which was a solids, the first one we came out with. Big, strong hook and ball, mid-range, or a mid-lane reading ball with a smooth, controllable back end. And then you had the Incredible Hero that come out with 3000 sanded, and it was a pearl. Was our first Dazzler pearl. I talked about that earlier when I talked about the Hero bowling ball. And then now we come out with the Incrediblex, which is the same core, new cover. Nice shiny cover too, so it gets you through the fronts a little bit cleaner. Now, they didn't change the core any, but the reaction I'm getting out of this ball is different than the other two. It is sort of what you would expect with the cover being a little bit slicker. It's a little sharper off the break point, not to mention the fact that the way I drilled it was supposed to be making it a little sharper off the break point. So that may have a lot to do with it. But I can tell you this, I do believe this ball reacts a little harder off the break point than the other two. However that science works between core and cover, that ball does come off the spot a little bit more. The other thing I've learned about that ball is I can use it outside or inside, whereas the other two Incredibles, once I get inside, I really couldn't use it a whole lot for me. But with the Incrediblex, I can. I've gotten as far in maybe as the 5th arrow with it and had success with it. I could never have done that with the Hero or the Incredible. The Hero, the Incredible Hero and the original Incredible, both were for heavy volume of oil, and it was more of keeping your line in front of you and keeping the pocket in play on tougher patterns and things like that. Whereas this ball, I believe I can use it on the tougher patterns, but I can also use it on house patterns. So I'm using this ball a lot on house patterns. You'll see I'm bowling on a house pattern in this video. I'm playing inside. I think I got to about 23 or so at the arrows, out to probably, if I remember right, about 12. And we'll look at the video and confirm that. But it's got the USY1 pearl cover, which is the same cover as the Dynamite, and I believe as the Joker Wild. We've had a lot of success with that cover so far. And they put it on this incredible core, and it's worked out pretty good. It's another gold ball. I think gold balls do every once in a while. People always like gold bowling balls, you know. Can't do them all the time, you know, but every once in a while you throw out a gold bowling ball. And, you know, I don't think I've ever owned a gold bowling ball I didn't like. So it had a little bit of an advantage going into it. But I do like this ball. It just seems to snap the 10 out a lot of times when you're seeing it getting ready to go to the pocket and you think, man, that might be a 10. Nope, 6-pin kicks it out. Pretty impressed with this one. So I ended up pulling it out late when I needed, the way the lanes were breaking down that day, I was getting some carry down. The ball I was throwing previous to that was just getting a little lazy to the pocket. So I switched from the symmetrical I was throwing, went to an asymmetrical, but I knew I had that slick cover with the Incrediblex. Sure enough, boom, I start popping out the 10-pin. It was that simple. So anyway, take a look at the video and see what you think.
Okay, here we go. We get to take a look at the Swag Incrediblex. As you can see, this is a little later into the sweeper, and I'm playing inside a little bit. That one there, the 8-pin started to fall, pin stood it back up, and then the ball came through and hit it again. So this shows you right there how it's going through the pins really good. That one there probably should have been a 10-pin, but as I was saying, what's so good about that ball is whereas a ball would have deflected there and left you a flat 10, it continued to drive through the pins and kicked out the 10. Now obviously there's no magic ball to never leave a 10-pin again. If it was, whoever made it would be rich, and I would definitely have one. But this ball does really good, and I can get in with it, I can play to the right with it, I can do a lot of things with it. Here I'm getting inside 4th arrow with it, out to about 11. Got a little break there. Yeah, slap it off. Playing left, get inside, get it to the friction, let the ball work. Boom. Ball's just lovely. I ended up winning the senior event in this one. I finished 6th in the scratch, and I only paid 4. So failed there. But I got my old man check, so I'll take it.